What's good, YouTube? I'm Kid Lady and I'm back with another video. So recently I was gathering my thoughts on the winter 2021 season and I just wanted to talk about it real quick. If there's one way I'm going to remember the season, it'll definitely be as the comeback season. Due to all the stuff going on around the world, every industry was affected to some extent. The anime industry is no different. In my opinion, the late 2020 seasons were just not as good as they could have been due to a boatload of factors at play. Sure, there were a couple of good shows airing during 2020 fall, but I gotta say, Jujutsu Kaisen was the saving grace for that season. But 2020 winter was completely different. It legit felt like a bounce back arc for real. A variety of shows were airing and I felt overwhelmed just trying to keep up as much as possible with how many good shows were coming out. Don't get me wrong, this is a good problem to have. There were quite a few new original shows airing that caught my attention. The most fire one was obviously X-Arm. Now I'm just playing with you. How the people making this show thought it was alright and okay to air is beyond me. There are literally scenes in which one character looks 2D and another character looks 3D. Apparently the studio making the show did not have any prior experience in making anime, and let me just say, this was extremely obvious. Not a great way to make a debut for a new studio. Let's move on to something more positive. Skate the Infinity was a really fun show from what I've seen so far. Yes, I know I've not finished it yet, but I'll get to it as soon as possible. The show does remind me a lot of the old Beyblade in terms of how it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's all just about having fun at the end of the day with your friends. It's a blast to watch if you're not expecting anything too deep and just want to see some extreme, unrealistic skateboarding. However, I do wish we could see a show that does depict skateboarding more realistically. Maybe one day. I want to talk about Horimiya for a little bit. It didn't seem like my type of show at first since I was mostly into action and psychological genres. Switching it up and checking out a rom-com was pretty refreshing, to be honest. This show was a blast to watch and I only watched like half the season so far. I can't wait to dive back into it and finish the season because I've heard nothing but good things from it. Seeing the relationship develop between Kayako and Izumi was extremely enjoyable and wholesome. Kimi no Jihan was a fun watch with an interesting premise. I felt like if this was any other season, this show would be talked about way more, but due to how stacked the season was, I felt it was just a little bit rather underrated. The show had a unique take on the supernatural genre. The characters are probably the best part of the show for me. I think my favorite character has to be Shiki. Seeing him go from disliking Kabane initially to becoming homies and complimenting each other so well was really nice to see. Mushoku Tensei is easily my favorite show of the season. Seeing the trailer, I knew this show had potential to be an absolute banger. Getting past the main character doing some sus stuff, I thoroughly enjoyed it. This show had a lot of good things going for it. Pacing was never a problem with this show. The animation has high quality to begin with as well. Truly a masterpiece of an isekai. The fact that a whole new studio was made just to adapt this show speaks a lot for itself. Studio Bind outdid themselves with this one. What a way to make a debut. I cannot wait to watch the second season in July when it airs. Another isekai that made some noise was So I'm a Spider, So What? Side note, honestly these names are getting kind of ridiculous, but I guess it is what it is. Anyways, getting back to the show, I tried to give it a watch, but it just really wasn't clicking for me. Granted, I only watched a few episodes. I may come back to it later on to give it a proper watch so I can actually talk about it, but I'm not 100% sure. Sadly, I have not given Wonder Egg Priority a watch yet, but I have to do it ASAP. From what I've seen about people's thoughts about the show, it definitely felt like a dark horse contender of the season and blew up. Since I've heard nothing but good things, I'm definitely excited to give this a watch. A show that I watched when it first started to air, but dropped temporarily, was the Netflix original High Rise Evasion. Honestly, from what I've seen of the show so far, it's just over the top and filled with fan service, advertised as a horror show. I guess it was my guilty pleasure when I was watching and actually somewhat enjoying it. With that being said, I'm definitely going to try and finish it. I didn't even attempt to watch Redo of Healer, but judging from short clips of scenes and the general consensus about the show, I would just label it as a train wreck and keep it moving. Switching gears to the continuing shows, Attack on Titan, the final season was probably the most anticipated show of this season. There was a lot riding on the season as Studio Wit, the studio that made all the previous seasons, backed out, and that led to MAPPA to adapt this final season. I gotta say, MAPPA killed it. They have been consistently pumping out amazing quality shows in recent memory, and Attack on Titan, the final season, is a testament to that. I cannot wait to see how they will adapt the second half of the final season. Knowing how the manga ends, I'm really curious to see what MAPPA will do with the remaining source material. Another continuing show that I really enjoyed was ReZero Season 2 Part 2. No cap, gotta bring this up real quick, but Ekena is best girl easily. All jokes aside, this whole season was a roller coaster. I did not know what was going on half the time because it was just crazy. I guess that's just kind of expected with ReZero, but man, this season takes it up a notch for sure. Seeing the development of characters like Subaru, Amelia, and even Roswell was a pleasure to see. I gotta bring up another isekai real quick with yet another crazy name. The time I got reincarnated as a slime. I'm like halfway done the second season, which aired in the winter, so I cannot give a full review of the season, but it was pretty enjoyable from what I've seen so far. It definitely builds off the hype of the first season. It's a fun watch in which there's never a dull moment. I also noticed that there's a spin-off called Slime Diaries, so I'm gonna have to check that out as well. The final sequel I wanted to bring up is Promised Neverland Season 2. Man, this was pretty horrendous. They really fumbled the bag with this one. This easily has to be one of the biggest drop-offs I have ever seen in terms of quality and storytelling of a show. Season 1 was a banger, if not a masterpiece for what it was. Season 2 though was such a letdown. Everything was rushed and it was incredibly confusing to follow. The same exact thing happened with Promised Neverland. Honestly, I could probably make a whole entire video just to discuss this season after I finish watching it, and honestly, I don't even know if I want to. I might just switch to the manga to cleanse myself of Season 2. But yeah, aside from those shows, there's still a few things I want to check out. I'm still waiting on the Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 movie, so hopefully that comes out in North America sooner than later. I've kind of been sleeping on Beastars, honestly, so maybe I'll get into that as well. Another one I've been meaning to watch is Eurocamp, with its second season being aired this winter. I've heard a lot of positive things about the show, and the premise seems pretty chill, so I'm down to give it a watch. To conclude this video, I think the 2021 winter season was amazing with a lot of high quality shows airing, whether it was continuing shows or brand new ones. I cannot wait to see what the 2021 spring season holds. Just a thought, but I was thinking of doing these mini recaps for every season more frequently in the future. But yeah, as always, thanks for checking out the video. Feel free to leave a like and maybe subscribe if you enjoyed the content. See y'all later. Peace.